You didn't land here by accident. If this message just popped up on your screen, stop for a moment, because this is not random and it is definitely not ordinary. There is a reason your attention was pulled here, even if you can't explain it. Something about this moment feels different, like life briefly paused just to get your attention. You may have been scrolling without thinking, distracted or tired, and suddenly this appeared. That is not coincidence, that is timing, and timing always carries meaning. Some messages don't arrive when you expect them, they arrive when you need them most. Right now, there is something you've been feeling lately, even if you've been trying to ignore it. A shift, a pressure in your thoughts, a strange sense that something is about to change, even though nothing around you has changed yet. You can't fully explain it, but you can feel it. And that feeling is exactly why you are hearing this right now. Because what you are about to discover is connected to something deeper, something you have been sensing for a long time, even in silence, even when no one else understood it. Not everything in your life is visible on the surface. Some things are happening behind what you can see. And this message is one of those moments where everything starts to make sense. But before you go further, ask yourself one thing: why this and why now? Because what you are about to hear next is not just information, it is a confirmation of something you have already been feeling inside. And once you hear it, you won't be able to ignore it anymore. You've probably noticed it already, even if you didn't fully talk about it out loud. Certain patterns have been repeating in your life in a way that feels too intentional to be random. It might be numbers showing up again and again, like 111, 222, 333, or 777. On clocks, receipts, phone screens, random places you didn't expect. At first you might have ignored it. Then it started happening more often. And now, it almost feels like it's following you. But it's not just numbers. There have been emotional shifts too. Some days you feel unusually calm, like something inside you has settled. Other days there's no clear reason, but you feel heavy, disconnected, or deep in thought. Like your emotions are moving in waves that don't match your external life. You may have also noticed moments of isolation. Not always physical isolation, but emotional distance. Conversations feel different. Some people you used to connect with don't feel the same anymore. You can be surrounded by others and still feel like you're in your own space, observing everything quietly from within. And at the same time, something else is happening. Your intuition feels stronger. You start knowing things before they happen. You sense people's intentions faster. You feel energy shifts in rooms without anyone saying anything. It's subtle but undeniable. There's also that feeling of being different. Not in an obvious or dramatic way, but internally. Like you don't fully resonate with the same things you used to. Your interests, your reactions, your thoughts, they feel like they're evolving faster than the environment around you. And with that comes a growing inner awareness. You think more deeply. You question more. You notice things others seem to overlook. Sometimes it feels like your mind won't stay on the surface anymore. It keeps pulling you inward, into reflection. If any of this sounds familiar, you might have even questioned yourself. Is it just me? Am I overthinking? Is something wrong with me? But here is the truth you need to hear clearly. You are not imagining this. What you're experiencing is a combination of heightened awareness, internal change, and perception shifts that many people go through when they start becoming more conscious of themselves and their life direction. And the strange part is this: once you start noticing these patterns, you can't really unsee them anymore. Right now, you might still be wondering why this message is showing up at this exact moment in your life. Why not yesterday? Why not later? Why in this specific phase when things already feel uncertain, intense, or emotionally unstable? The truth is, timing is one of the most overlooked parts of transformation. Nothing meaningful arrives in your life without alignment. And alignment doesn't always feel peaceful. It often feels uncomfortable first, because what you're going through right now may not be random at all. It may be a transition phase, a moment where one version of your life is slowly ending and another is not fully visible yet. That in-between space is often the most confusing part. You can't fully go back, but you also don't feel fully forward yet. It creates emotional tension, mental noise, and a strange sense that something is shifting beneath the surface. This is often when people start questioning everything: relationships, direction, identity, even themselves. Not because something is wrong, but because something is changing. And in moments like this, messages like this tend to appear more often. Not because they create the change, but because they mirror it. You may have been experiencing emotional turbulence lately. Some days feel clear, others feel heavy. Motivation rises and disappears. Thoughts become deeper than usual. Old memories or feelings suddenly resurface without warning. This is what many people describe as an internal clearing phase. It's not always comfortable because clarity rarely arrives in a straight line. Before things become simple, they often become uncertain. And this is exactly where many people miss the meaning of what's happening. They assume confusion means something is wrong. But in many cases, confusion is simply the space between two chapters. There is also another layer to this: resistance. When inner change begins, the mind often tries to hold on to what is familiar. Old patterns, old beliefs, old emotional habits, they don't disappear instantly. They push back, they create doubt. They make you question what you feel and what you sense. That resistance can make everything feel even more intense. But what you are experiencing is not failure. It is adjustment, because something within you is no longer aligned with what used to feel normal. And that is why this message appears now. Not to convince you of something new, but to reflect what is already unfolding inside you. You are not standing in a random moment of life. You are standing in a transition point. And transition always comes with signs before it becomes visible on the outside. So when you feel that strange sense of timing, that feeling that something is building up, that nothing feels fully stable anymore, it is not coincidence, it is movement. And that is why this message found you exactly when it did. You may have noticed something about your life that has never really changed, no matter how much everything else has. A feeling of being different. Not in a loud or obvious way, but in something deeper, something internal that has followed you for a long time. Even when you were younger, there may have been moments where you felt slightly disconnected from others, like you were observing life in a different way, thinking more deeply, feeling more intensely, questioning things that others seemed to accept without effort. At times, you may not have had the words for it, but the feeling was there. And over time, instead of disappearing, it became more noticeable, because your path has not been a simple one. You may have gone through situations that tested your emotional strength more than once, moments where you had to keep going even when you didn't fully understand what was happening. Times where you felt like life was pushing you into situations you didn't choose but still had to face. And yet, you are still here, still moving, still thinking, still growing. That resilience is not accidental. There is something about people who go through repeated challenges but don't lose their inner direction completely. Even when they feel tired, even when they feel misunderstood, even when they feel alone in their thoughts, they don't break in the way others expect. They adapt. They reflect. They evolve. You might also notice that your intuition has become stronger over time. You don't just react to situations, you sense them. You feel when something is off. You pick up on energy, tone, intention, even without full explanation. And more often than not, you are right, even if you doubt yourself at first. That kind of inner awareness doesn't develop randomly. It grows through experience, reflection, and emotional depth. And emotional depth is something you likely understand very well. You don't just see things on the surface, you feel what is underneath them. You read between words. You notice what is not being said. You carry awareness that goes beyond simple explanations. This is also why certain environments, conversations, or even relationships may have felt overwhelming or misaligned at times. Not because you don't belong anywhere, but because you process life differently. And that difference can sometimes feel isolating, because not everyone operates with the same level of awareness or sensitivity. But here is something important to understand. Being different does not mean being lost. It means your path operates under a different level of perception and growth. And that is why your experiences may not always match the expectations of others. While some people move through life in predictable cycles, your path may feel more like a series of tests, shifts, and awakenings, each one building something within you that was not there before. Not to weaken you, but to refine you. And even if you have questioned yourself at times, wondering why things felt harder, deeper, or more complex than expected, the pattern behind it is not random. It is shaping something within you that cannot be formed through comfort alone. And that is why not everyone understands this path, because not everyone is meant to walk it in the same way. If it feels like everything in your life is starting to fall apart right now, that feeling can be overwhelming, even frightening. Because from your perspective, it may look like things are breaking down faster than you can understand them. Relationships may feel different or distant. Some people you used to feel close to might not connect with you in the same way anymore. Conversations may feel forced or emotionally disconnected. In some cases, certain relationships may have ended or naturally faded without a clear explanation. At the same time, your inner world might feel just as unstable. Thoughts that used to feel simple now feel complex. Decisions that once felt clear now feel uncertain. Motivation may come and go without warning. Some days you feel like you are moving forward, and other days it feels like you are standing still or even going backward. This kind of emotional fluctuation can be exhausting. It can make you question your direction, your choices, and even yourself. And in that space, it can truly feel like something is falling apart. But what you are experiencing is not random destruction. It is a restructuring process. When old emotional patterns, habits, and attachments no longer align with who you are becoming, they begin to weaken. Not always gently. Sometimes they dissolve in ways that feel sudden or uncomfortable. This can create the impression that your life is collapsing, when in reality, something deeper is being reorganized. Identity shifts are rarely smooth. There is often a phase where the old version of you no longer feels accurate, but the new version has not fully formed yet. That in-between state can feel like confusion, emptiness, or disconnection. You are no longer fully attached to who you used to be, but you are still becoming who you are meant to be. That gap can feel unsettling. It can feel like losing direction, even when you are actually being redirected. Emotional exhaustion is also common in this phase, because internal change requires energy. Letting go of old beliefs, emotional responses, and expectations is not passive. It is an active inner process. And when that process is happening quietly inside you, it can feel like you are carrying something heavy that others cannot see. But even this exhaustion has meaning. It is often the sign that your internal system is adjusting to a new level of awareness. And while it may feel like things are breaking, what is actually happening is selection. What no longer fits your path is being removed, not always comfortably, but necessarily. This is why confusion increases before clarity arrives, because clarity cannot fully settle while old structures are still active inside you. So what feels like falling apart is actually a phase where life is removing what cannot move forward with you. And although it feels heavy right now, it is not the end of your stability. It is the beginning of your realignment. Even if nothing around you looks dramatically different yet, something important is happening beneath the surface of your life. It is not always visible. It is not always loud, but it is real. There is an invisible shift taking place within you. You may start noticing that certain reactions you used to have don't feel as intense anymore. Situations that once triggered strong emotional responses might now feel quieter, more distant, or easier to observe without becoming overwhelmed by them. That is not emotional numbness, it is internal change. Your awareness is expanding in subtle ways. You begin to see situations from a slightly higher perspective than before. Instead of reacting immediately, you pause, you reflect. You question what you are feeling and why you are feeling it. This creates a gap between experience and reaction, and that gap is where growth happens. At the same time, your intuition may feel stronger than usual. You might find yourself sensing outcomes before they happen, or understanding people's intentions without needing full explanations. Sometimes, it feels like your mind is picking up information before logic has time to process it. And while you may not always trust it fully yet, it is becoming more consistent. Another sign of this invisible shift is a reduction in fear, not because life becomes easier, but because your internal response begins to change. Things that used to feel overwhelming may now feel manageable. Uncertainty still exists, but it does not control you in the same way it once did. There is also something else that may be happening: synchronicities. You may notice repeating signs, meaningful coincidences, or moments that feel strangely timed. You think of something and then see it shortly after. You question something internally and then encounter an external confirmation. These experiences can feel subtle, but they are often noticed more frequently during periods of internal transformation. Alongside this, your mindset begins to shift. The way you interpret situations starts to change. You may find yourself questioning old beliefs, letting go of automatic assumptions, or viewing life from a more reflective perspective. Things that once felt absolute now feel more flexible, more open to interpretation. This does not happen overnight. It develops gradually, almost quietly, until one day you realize you are no longer thinking the same way you used to. And perhaps one of the most important changes is emotional awakening. You begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. Emotions that were once ignored or suppressed start to surface in order to be understood. You become more aware of what affects you, what drains you, and what truly aligns with you. This awareness can feel intense at times, but it is also clarifying. Because once you begin to see yourself more clearly, you cannot easily return to old patterns of unconscious living. And that is why this stage often feels like something is shifting without explanation. Because it is not external change that defines this phase. It is internal transformation that has not fully revealed itself yet. Something is changing beneath the surface. And even if you cannot fully see it right now, you can feel it becoming real. There is something important you need to understand right now, especially during a phase like this, where everything feels more sensitive, more emotional, and more uncertain than usual. Because in moments of transition, not everything that shows up in your life is meant to stay. And not everything that feels familiar is actually aligned with where you are going. One of the most subtle challenges during this stage is the return of old patterns. Things you thought you had moved past can suddenly reappear, not always in the same form, but in a similar emotional shape. Old conversations, old habits, old emotional reactions, or even old connections can come back into your awareness in unexpected ways. And when that happens, it can feel confusing. Because part of you recognizes it, but another part of you has already changed. This creates internal tension between what was comfortable and what is becoming necessary for your growth. At the same time, distractions can become stronger during this phase. Not always obvious distractions, but emotional ones. Situations that pull your attention away from your inner clarity. People or environments that create doubt instead of direction. Moments that make you question what you already started to understand. This is why awareness becomes extremely important now. Because when your inner world is shifting, your decisions carry more weight than you realize. Choices made from confusion can lead you back into cycles you were already beginning to outgrow. Not because you are doing something wrong, but because old emotional patterns still have temporary influence if they are not recognized. There may also be moments where emotional confusion increases. One day something feels right. The next day it feels uncertain. You may find yourself overthinking situations that previously felt simple. You may feel pulled between moving forward and going back. This is not weakness. It is a transitional state where clarity has not fully stabilized yet. And during this time, one of the most important things you can do is slow down internally. Not necessarily in action, but in reaction. Because reacting too quickly to emotional impulses can pull you away from the direction you are actually moving toward. There is also a deeper warning hidden inside this phase. Not everything that feels comfortable is meant for you anymore. Familiar emotions, familiar patterns, and even familiar connections can feel safe simply because they are known, not because they are aligned with your current growth. And this is where many people unintentionally repeat cycles they thought they had already outgrown. But awareness changes that. When you begin to observe instead of react, you start to see things more clearly. You recognize patterns instead of being pulled into them. You feel emotions without letting them define your direction. You understand that just because something feels familiar, it does not automatically mean it is right for you now. This is why clarity is essential during this stage. Because without clarity, old cycles can quietly restart themselves in new forms. But with awareness, you begin to notice what is repeating, and more importantly, what needs to end. And that is the real purpose of this warning. Not to create fear, but to help you stay conscious during a time when everything inside you is shifting. because what you choose now can either support your transformation or delay it. Even if it has not fully made sense to you until now, there is a deeper purpose behind everything you have been going through. What feels like struggle, confusion, emotional pressure, and uncertainty has not been happening without direction. There has been a process unfolding underneath all of it, something shaping you in ways that are not always immediately visible. You are being prepared for something, not in a vague or distant sense, but in a very real internal transformation that affects how you think, how you respond, and how you move forward in life. One of the biggest signs of preparation is emotional maturity. You may have noticed that you no longer react to situations the same way you used to. Things that once triggered strong emotional responses might now feel more distant or easier to process. You begin to pause before reacting. You think more deeply before making decisions. You start to see consequences and patterns more clearly than before. This is not random growth. It is development through experience. And even though some of those experiences were painful, they played a role in building emotional strength within you. Strength that cannot be developed through comfort alone. At the same time, your perception of opportunities may be changing. What you once considered important may no longer feel aligned, and things you previously overlooked might now feel more meaningful. Your sense of direction becomes more refined, not because everything outside has changed, but because something inside you has evolved. This is often how new life chapters begin. Not with clarity at first, but with internal transformation that gradually reshapes what you are even able to recognize as opportunity. You are also becoming more aware of your own resilience. You may not always call it strength, but it shows in how you have continued moving forward despite emotional challenges, setbacks, or moments of doubt. There is something within you that does not fully give up, even when things feel overwhelming. That inner endurance is not accidental. It has been built through repetition, reflection, and lived experience. And even the painful moments you went through were not wasted. They contributed to a deeper understanding of yourself, your boundaries, your emotions, and your direction. Transformation through pain is not about suffering for its own sake. It is about what emerges from it. A clearer sense of identity, a stronger inner voice, a deeper understanding of what aligns with you and what does not. This is why, over time, certain parts of your life begin to shift naturally. Not because everything is being taken away, but because you are no longer aligned with everything you used to accept. And that can feel like loss at first. But in reality, it is refinement. You are not being pushed backward. You are being shaped forward. And even if you cannot see the full picture yet, what is happening inside you is preparing you for a chapter that requires a stronger, more aware, and more grounded version of yourself. You are not just going through experiences, you are being rebuilt through them. At this stage of your life, one of the most important things you can understand is that not everything requires a reaction. Not everything requires immediate action. And not every emotion you feel in the moment is meant to be followed impulsively. What you are experiencing internally right now is a transition, and transitions require awareness more than speed. The first thing you must do now is begin letting go of resistance. Resistance is what creates inattention during change. It is the part of you that tries to hold on to what is familiar, even when it no longer feels aligned. It can show up as overthinking, doubt, fear of uncertainty, or the urge to return to old emotional patterns. Letting go of resistance does not mean forcing yourself to feel differently. It means allowing things to unfold without fighting every internal shift. The second thing is to trust your intuition more than external noise. During periods of confusion, there are many voices, opinions, memories, emotions, fears. But beneath all of that, there is a quieter sense of direction that often already knows what feels right and what does not. It may not always be loud or immediate, but it becomes clearer when you slow down enough to listen to it without interference. The third thing is to avoid impulsive decisions. When emotions are fluctuating, it becomes easy to make choices based on temporary feelings rather than long-term alignment. This is why slowing your reactions is important. Not rushing into conclusions, not reacting to emotional highs or lows, and not making decisions just to escape discomfort. Stability comes from patience, not urgency. The fourth thing is reflection. Take time to observe what you are feeling without immediately trying to fix it or escape it. Reflection allows you to see patterns that repetition hides. It helps you understand what is actually changing within you instead of reacting to surface-level emotions. The fifth thing is inner silence. Not necessarily external silence, but mental quietness, reducing the constant mental dialogue that tries to analyze everything at once. When your mind becomes quieter, clarity begins to rise naturally. You don't have to force answers when you create space for them. And finally, grounding. Stay connected to simple, stable routines in your daily life. Even small things, sleep, food, movement, structure, help stabilize your inner world during emotional or mental shifts. Grounding does not stop transformation, it supports it so it does not feel overwhelming. All of these steps are not about controlling your life. They are about stabilizing yourself while your life is changing. Because right now, the most important alignment is internal, not external. And the more you stop resisting what is shifting, the more clearly you will begin to see where you are actually being guided. This is not a moment to rush. It is a moment to align. If you've made it this far, there is something you need to hear clearly and calmly. You are not alone in what you are experiencing. Even if it has felt personal, even if it has felt confusing or isolating at times, what you are going through is not something you are going through by yourself. Many people move through phases like this in their own way, at their own pace, even if they don't always talk about it. And right now, the most important thing to understand is that not everything that feels uncertain is without purpose. In moments like this, it is very easy to assume that confusion means something is wrong. That emotional heaviness means you are off track. That change means loss. But in reality, these internal experiences often carry meaning that only becomes clear with time and distance. What feels unclear now may eventually become something you understand with complete clarity. Not immediately, but gradually. There is a kind of timing in life that does not reveal itself in the present moment. It only makes sense when you look back. And many things you are feeling right now belong to that kind of timing. They are part of a process that is still unfolding, even if you cannot see its full shape yet. This is why it is so important not to judge your current chapter too early, because you are still in it. And when you are inside a process of change, you cannot always interpret it accurately while it is happening. You may feel moments of doubt, emotional waves, or mental exhaustion, but none of these define your final direction. They are simply parts of movement, parts of adjustment, parts of becoming. There is also something else you need to hold on to during this time, the idea of alignment. Even when things feel unstable externally, there can still be a deeper internal alignment taking place. A quiet reorganization of your thoughts, your emotions, your priorities, and your awareness. It may not feel structured right now, but that does not mean it lacks direction. Sometimes alignment begins in silence before it becomes visible in life, and during that silence, it can feel like nothing is happening, when in reality, a lot is happening beneath the surface. You are not being lost in this process. You are being guided through it, even if the direction is not fully clear yet, even if the outcome is not fully visible yet, and even if the present moment feels emotionally heavy at times. That does not mean it is permanent. This phase has movement. It has direction. It has purpose. And over time, what feels confusing now will begin to settle into understanding. Not all at once, but step by step. So when you feel unsure, when things feel unclear, or when you question what is happening in your life, remember this. You are not being abandoned in confusion. You are being led through transformation. And what feels like chaos right now is actually alignment taking shape in ways you cannot fully see yet. You are not off track. You are in process. As you reach the end of this message, take a moment to pause and really feel where you are right now, mentally and emotionally. Because this is not just something you watched casually and moved on from. Something in you has been paying attention in a deeper way. And maybe you still can't fully explain why. But that feeling matters. If this message resonated with you in any way, it may be because it is reflecting something you have already been sensing within yourself for some time. Sometimes we hear things externally that simply confirm what we already knew internally, but hadn't fully acknowledged yet. And if that is what this feels like for you, then you are not imagining it. Before you go, there is one simple question worth reflecting on. What has been repeating in your life lately that you can no longer ignore? It might be emotions. It might be situations. It might be patterns, thoughts, or even inner feelings that keep returning no matter how much you try to move past them. Take a moment to think about that, because awareness is often the first step toward understanding what life is trying to show you. And if you feel comfortable, you can share it in the comments. Not because you need validation, but because sometimes putting it into words helps bring clarity to what you've been holding internally. You are not the only one experiencing shifts like this. Many people are going through moments of change, even if they describe it differently. And sometimes, recognizing that can bring a sense of grounding and calm. As you move forward from here, don't rush to define everything you just felt or heard. Let it settle. Let it integrate. Because not everything is meant to be understood instantly. Some things are meant to unfold gradually over time. And even if life has felt uncertain recently, even if things have felt like they are shifting in ways you don't fully control, there is still a deeper movement happening beneath it all. A direction you are being guided toward, even if you cannot see the full path yet. So as you close this video, remember this: you are not late. You are not lost. You are not disconnected from what is meant for you. You are in transition, and everything you are experiencing is part of that process. Because sometimes the message was never meant to change your life instantly. It was meant to remind you that your life is already changing. And if this reached you at the right moment, then maybe, just maybe, the message was meant for you.